Hi, Mahendra. All good? Let us wait for 2-3 minutes. I guess people are joining. Good evening. So, guys, how is the situation in Delhi? I guess it is worsening every day, right? So cases are as increasing, and as in I've got few WhatsApp groups wherein people who are actually telling me a lot of oxygen shortage and everything, and it is also there in the news. Yeah, is it? Is she? Family, all are positive. So how are they doing? Is it as in okay, or is it something more critical? Because I'm just hearing a lot of stories, and the people telling me, okay, oh, that's sad, yeah. Oh, that's bad. This uh, this is turning out to be very critical. Yeah, so this is hard times, and ensure try to ensure, because something, it's not that easy. So try to be inside home only. Don't try to be venturing out. It is quite risky nowadays, and especially I guess this is to be that way for about a month or so for sure. Today I guess I was reading somewhere that number crossed 4 lakh. So lockdown is somewhere not helping much, and I guess some international body or USA suggested that India should go for a lockdown immediately. This is something which has come from some international body has suggested that India should do a complete lockdown, and no, I don't know if that can be implemented on ground or not. But uh, this is getting difficult, and I'm sure uh, like your dear and loved ones might be also impacted, as some of you are telling me. So you need to be quite careful in this situation in terms of helping others and also ensuring not getting infected, because it is becoming challenge. And how is
Hi, sir. Can you hear me?
yeah, Sid, I can hear you now.
Hello. Hi, how are
Yeah,
you
I can.
doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, sir, but I'm going home actually. My
Okay.
flight is on uh, 3rd of May at 5:30 a.m. in the morning. Hmm.
Okay, 3rd May. So that is day
Third,
after tomorrow in
day
the
after
morning. Okay.
tomorrow. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, it is
Really.
better. I'll say it better if you can manage to move out of Delhi, because as the number are just rising, so it has become a
Yeah,
cause of concern for everyone. And
yeah,
unfortunately, like after a lockdown also, it is not helping much, because
yes,
today's case as in a number has really gone to 4 lakh. So it is
yeah,
increasing.
yeah.
It is not improving. So
Now,
if you
sir,
can manage.
actually, I
Hmm.
came outside to buy a few suitcases because my luggages have become like so much. I've bought so many appliances and everything, and I can't. I'm not taking any of the appliances. But the thing is
Yeah.
that now I have to keep the luggages, and I only have like two big luggages, and now I need to
Oh.
buy two small luggages. And now I'm just
Okay.
seeing I'm out in Noida, everything is
Uh-huh.
closed, like literally no shop is open. And there's, if you come out in the street, it's like a panic situation over here. I can see ambulance
Yeah.
rushing by me here and there.
Yeah. It is.
Very
It
risky
has become.
scenario.
It has become quite a panic, and
Yeah,
like even I've got as in quite a lot of groups wherein different people are there, different part of Delhi, right? So they keep telling me like this is the problem, and there was one message coming in my group wherein I guess some of the family member needed this medicine remedies here, right? So this is I get 3,000 rupees, and
yeah.
but he got it for 1 lakh because of shortage. People are
Huh?
exploiting. Yeah, this is the situation.
Oh
Like it is, yeah, 1 lakh.
my
So
god,
3,000 is 1 lakh. So this has really become very. People trying to, and also I guess somewhere in the
extra,
news also I was listening, like people are
everything.
using, like for ambulance, for a 4 kilometer of ambulance they're charging around 15,000, 20,000, right?
Yeah,
And
even today, sir, in Uber, they have overcharged me like 300 rupees to come. They said they
yeah,
won't come. Five Uber got cancelled.
yeah.
I'm totally stressed out right now. Will I be able to reach the airport or not?
It is a difficult times, I would certainly say, no, without any doubt. And and the second wave is the most severe compared to the first wave. I guess first wave did not impact much, especially to the young generation. It did not have that wider impact.
Good
But
evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
good evening. But now, how are you doing? Are you okay? Fine, better?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I'm negative.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's great. I'm happy for you. And because lot of bad news or negative news are coming on my WhatsApp group, so I was really concerned for you because you told me like, and there was a
सर
news
मेरी
yesterday.
फैमिली में काफी डेथ हो गई है कोरोना की वजह से तो आज भी
Yeah, yeah,
एक
right, right.
और
वही तो मैं
मेरे
बोल रहा हूँ.
मामा
हम्म.
की पूरी फैमिली पॉजिटिव है
Oh, that's bad, yeah. That's really bad because
सर सीरियसली
this.
बहुत प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट कर दी है इसने ना क्योंकि अभी उनकी मॉम की भी मतलब ना ऑक्सीजन की वजह से डेथ हो गई मतलब मामा के कजिन की
Oh,
मॉम की और
oh my God.
मतलब बहुत ज्यादा सर जितने ये गवर्नमेंट बोल रही है ना कि ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर अवेलेबल है सर
नहीं है,
कुछ नहीं है मतलब
कुछ नहीं
सीरियसली
अवेलेबल.
और इवन योगी गवर्नमेंट ने तो अभी यूपी में योगी ने तो इवन इतना तक अनाउंसमेंट किया था अगर जो बेमतलब में ऑक्सीजन सरेंडर के लिए बोलेगा शॉर्टेज है उसकी हम प्रॉपर्टी सीज कर लेंगे मतलब सर हमारी गवर्नमेंट हमारे को इतनी तक परमिशन नहीं दे रही है कि हम खुल के ये बता पाए कि किस चीज की हमारे पास कमी है लोग मरते जा रहे हैं इन लोगों को कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ रहा है
This is really going very very
और
like
सर
very.
मतलब ब्लेम करने वाली बात नहीं है ब्लेम गेम नहीं है बट सर फिर भी अगर देखा जाए तो इसमें एक पब्लिक तो नहीं कुछ कर सकती ना
नहीं कर सकती हो, नहीं कर सकती. And this is not something made up. This is actually people are struggling on ground. I'm also getting a lot of news like people are not having enough oxygen, or maybe they have oxygen and the pressure of the oxygen is not enough to help the patient. And at times person also need to have ventilators also not enough, right? So a lot of problem is there. That's the reason I'm telling this second wave is not it is bit severe. It's a bit more because earlier I was thinking it is not that severe, but with the cases and with the news coming, right, it is very clear this wave is impacting everyone, no matter what your age is, even if you are young or or a senior citizen or some mature person who is 50 plus something middle age. No, doesn't matter, it is impacting everyone. So this is something, as in everyone has to be more careful now.
Yes, sir.
Everyone has to be more careful. You need to be very careful, and I know, because if it is somewhere in your near family or in the close family, right, then you would have to support them also, emotionally, physically, and all, maybe financially also, and that's a different thing. But at the same time, all the precautionary measures need to be taken, otherwise, this oxygen supply is not there, and I'm sure it's not that easy to manage also. Government might be doing their efforts, but even the hospital owners, doctors, everyone is crying that they are not able to help their patients, right? So because of oxygen, and but the only
Sure.
good thing I can see is you have your this vaccination drive open for even people with 18 years of age, right? So try to register yourself, and maybe try to get a slot as soon as possible if it is available. I guess I received one message in my WhatsApp group. Somebody was able to get a slot for 25th of May, not from your batch, from some other, right? So that is something you can keep trying. I don't know whether you tried it or not, but try to register yourself for vaccine, and
Yes, sir.
right.
सर,
So yeah.
मैंने ना दामिनी मैम को काफी बार कांटेक्ट करने की कोशिश की थी बीच में। सर
हम्म।
एक्चुअली ना मेरे को बात करनी थी उनसे, क्योंकि सर बहुत सारी बातें ना मेल करके नहीं की जा सकती। सर
हाँ
एक्चुअली
हाँ।
एक ना प्रॉब्लम आ रही है बैच में ऑलमोस्ट सबको, तो मेरे को वो बात उनसे करनी थी। और
ओके।
सर एक्चुअली मैं आपको बताता हूँ बात क्या है, कि बहुत
हाँ
सारे
हाँ।
स्टूडेंट्स को ना रिवाइज करने के टाइम पर प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, क्योंकि ऑनलाइन बैच में ना मैं आपको क्लियरली बताऊं सर, मेरे को तो समझ में नहीं
हाँ
आया था, बट रिवीजन के
हाँ।
टाइम पे मेरे को प्रॉब्लम आ रही है। और सर ये
ओके।
प्रॉब्लम आपके एंड पे नहीं है सर, हमारे ही एंड पे है। और दूसरा सर
हाँ
सिचुएशन की वजह से है, तो हम सर ये चाह रहे थे सारे के सारे, ये सर मेरा
यस
अकेले
सर।
का ओपिनियन नहीं है, पूरा बैच ये चाहता है कि एक रिवीजन क्लास हो जाए उसकी, कोलेट्रल एंड इस्जा की एक क्विक रिवीजन क्लास हो जाए। और सर दूसरा ना, कि वो जो लिंक मैम ने
हाँ
प्रोवाइड किया था ना, उस पे ना
हाँ।
रिकॉर्डेड क्लासेस अपडेट नहीं हो रही हैं। तो ये हमारे को ना
ओ।
उन्हें बोलना था कि आप प्रॉपरली अपडेट करवा दो उन्हें, क्योंकि सर बाद में
हम्म।
हमारे को बहुत कुछ रिवाइज करने के टाइम पे रिकॉर्डेड क्लास देखनी पड़ती है, तो अगर वो मतलब अपडेट नहीं होगा तो प्रॉब्लम बाद में रिवाइज करने में आएगी। और सर
राइट।
जैसे मार्क्स भी तो लाने हैं, क्योंकि हम क्लास कंटिन्यू इसलिए कर रहे हैं सारे, की टाइम बाद में वेस्ट ना हो। बट सर अगर
हम्म।
मार्क्स नहीं आएंगे तो वो भी तो एक प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगी ना।
हाँ, नहीं वो भी है, तो रिवीजन के लिए आई विल आस्क हर, मे बी वी कैन हैव द नेक्स्ट वीकेंड
एंड
विल
सर
हैव अ
प्लीज एक
रिवीजन
बार आप
क्लास।
उन्हें बोलना कि टाइमली अपडेट कर देना, वो रिकॉर्डेड क्लास वाला लिंक जो उन्होंने दिया था
हाँ
वहां पे
हाँ।
टाइमली अपलोड कर देंगे तो हमारे को प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगी। अगर इस वीक वाली क्लास नेक्स्ट वीक या नेक्स्ट वीक के बाद अपलोड होगी, तो सर हम पुरानी क्लासेस ठीक से रिवाइज नहीं कर पाएंगे ना।
ओके, राइट राइट, मेक सेंस, आई अंडरस्टैंड योर पॉइंट, सो आई रेज इट। अब मैं आज ही बता दूंगा कि वो रिकॉर्डिंग जो है वो अपलोड करने
हाँ,
के
तो
लिए।
सर यही बात उनसे करनी थी, इसलिए मैं अकेला नहीं सर, पूरे बैच में मतलब काफी सबने यही बोला है। तो
ओके।
इसलिए मैं उन्हें कॉल कर रहा था बार बार, इवन काफी
हाँ।
मतलब और स्टूडेंट्स ने भी उन्हें कॉल की है, शायद वो
ओके।
बिजी हैं पता नहीं, इसलिए उन्होंने
नहीं,
पिक
आई
नहीं
गेस
की।
जहाँ तक मुझे पता था कि मैंने वैसे मैसेज ड्रॉप किया था एक किसी और रीजन, सिद्धार्थ का, आई थिंक एलएमएस के रिगार्डिंग, आई रिमेम्बर।
यस।
मेरी बात हुई थी, हम लास्ट टाइम मेरी बात हुई सिद्धार्थ से, तो सिद्धार्थ वाज टेलिंग मी कि उसका एलएमएस का एक्सेस नहीं है, तो मे बी इसके रिगार्डिंग मैंने मैसेज ड्रॉप किया था। तो शी वाज नॉट कीपिंग वेल, मे बी दैट कुड बी द रीजन, आई डोंट नो वेदर शी
यस
इज
सर।
डूइंग ओके now or not. Maybe if she's okay now, but I'll tell her like this is a concern, and this should be sorted, I guess, because this is something important.
सर और एक बात
So
और थी कि आपसे एक
हाँ
रिक्वेस्ट है सर, थोड़ा सा स्पीड स्लो कर दोगे आप?
हाँ हाँ, absolutely, yeah, it will go up to you, as per you only, right? Because the main thing is you guys should be able to understand that we are doing, तो हमारे को
Yes,
थोड़ा
sir.
सा स्लो भी चलेगा, तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
सर
कोई प्रॉब्लम
इन्फॉर्मेशन
नहीं
को थोड़ा डिटेल्ड और रख दीजिए सर, मतलब कोई भी एक
हाँ
बेसिक
वो
टॉपिक है तो उसको थोड़ा डिटेल में समझाओगे तो थोड़ा मतलब स्लो भी हो जाएगा और सर ज्यादा टॉपिक भी कवर नहीं कर पाएंगे हम। ज्यादा टॉपिक कवर हो
राइट
जाते हैं ना
राइट
सर
हाँ
तो समझ में नहीं आ पाता है।
सर सिलेबस
वो
एक
थोड़ा सा
ऊपर चला जाएगा, बट
हाँ
एटलीस्ट हमारे पास रिवाइज करने में प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगी।
हाँ right, I understand the point, so don't worry about it. So what first is we'll do as in the next class, the first class we would be having a revision class right next weekend, ठीक है ना, ताकि हमारा जो कोलैटरल मैनेजमेंट है और उसमें हम वही टच करेंगे, वो एरियाज टच करेंगे जो आपके इंटरव्यू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से होंगे, अंडरस्टैंड इट, सो दैट रिवीजन इज
यस
एक्सट्रीमली
सर, यस
इंपॉर्टेंट, ठीक है ना. So I'll touch upon only those
सर, यस सर।
areas which would be more relevant from your interview point of view, be it your mock interview or from the practical interview, as in the real interview also. So those would be the questions which would be asked from you guys. So revision उस तरीके से रखेंगे, जरा डिटेल में नहीं, जो important areas उस पर जरा फोकस करेंगे, और बाकी अगर कुछ areas अगर as in
यस
you want to know from your side, so that I can take, that's not a problem, but more from the point of view like we need to first cover the important section which are really really relevant and important, we cannot afford to miss, right? First we'll cover those and then we can take on the other things which would be from your side and all those things. तो ये तो पहला हो गया,
थैंक
and
यू सर।
then second for the recording I will ask her to maybe share those recording which have been there for the previous classes, so that you can accordingly maybe go through and do kind of a revision again from your point of view. I understand that's also needed. And third point क्या था हमारा, हमने एक point और I think you were saying, was it did I cover all the points or miss anything?
यस सर, यस सर। सर बस स्पीड स्लो और
हाँ
क्विक रिवीजन की एक क्लास, और थर्ड वन वाज कि रिकॉर्डिंग अपलोड।
Okay, so for speed के लिए हम कर सकते हैं कि if you see if something is going fast, right? Let me know. We can
यस
take a pause. We can also take a 5 minute break if something if you're thinking like it is I'm not able to understand. Right, so
यस
maybe we can
सर,
take a 5 minute break also, so that we can be a bit relaxed or kind of just go back to the previous slide and accordingly understand like what has been done. So that's not a worry. That's something which is within our control, right? So you guys just need to tell me, right, so that I can accordingly change certain things here and there, and accordingly tweak those things and to make it as per our requirement. That's something we can do easily, right? So hope it makes sense.
यस सर। थैंक यू सर।
Okay. No worries, welcome. Okay, so today's topic is on mutual fund, right? So we'll be doing mutual fund. Let me just open presentation. Yeah, okay. I'm not speaking at the moment, so I'll just start. So asset management, right? So this will cover. I hope I'm audible now, Anjali. Okay, fair enough. Okay. Okay, so these are the agenda points that we're going to cover today. So maybe not everything we cover today. Some part of it will be today, and then the remaining part will cover tomorrow. Okay, if in case uh, because there are a lot of information is there, so we'll go slow as we discuss. Okay, what is asset management? What are your thoughts? Take your time, just read through the slide and then just try to understand what asset management is.
Sir, asset management, I think, is like portfolio management service.
Yeah, right. Right. So asset management, as the word says, you are managing assets, and it can be a different kind of assets, or it can be one particular kind of asset also, right? So what a mutual fund is doing, mutual fund is managing asset. So they are into asset management business. So, and mutual fund is
So
also
it is
kind
like
of,
managing securities or the assets so that we can achieve the organizational or the
yeah,
particular goal to make
right,
profit.
correct, bang on. So you're managing a set of securities, set of asset, and you're managing because you need to meet a defined objective that you promised to your investors in the beginning when the investment came to you. So like, just to take an example, you when you invest in a mutual fund, right? Maybe the Axis long term equity fund. So Axis long term equity fund is one of the mutual fund, and this mutual fund has got its investment into different securities, right? So that security, those securities are decided by the fund manager and 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 the various stakeholders who are part of the fund management, right? They take, and this is something which is decided in the beginning. It is not. It is decided after the fund has been made. Why? Because when a fund is created, all the details and all information about the fund as to how the fund is going to invest in different markets or different securities needs to be clearly defined and mentioned in the prospectus of mutual fund. So like we discussed about IPO, right? When an IPO is done, there is a prospectus made out, and that prospectus details about every information about about that capital raise being done by the issuer. So why the capital raise is being done, what are the financial parameters or financial details of the company. So all those are put in place, put in into the prospectus, right? And that prospectus is then goes to SEBI. SEBI evaluates the prospectus detail. Similarly, when you look at the mutual fund also goes through this process that is called new fund offer, NFO. If you have heard this term, NFO. So new fund offer is kind of this is when a new fund is offered to the investors, right? So here, in case of new fund offer, usually the unit price is decided as a face value. Like in case of share also, the face value is decided. In this case, the face value can be of 10 rupees per unit. Because if you see, the mutual fund has NAV. NAV stands for net asset value, right? So when your mutual fund is offered, right? So there would be a price decided for a unit. One unit equates to 10 rupees, and the investment will come, and that is open for a certain number of days. Like in case of IPO also, IPO is open for a certain number of days. In a very similar manner, this mutual fund NFO is also open for a certain number of days only. And when you have pooled in your money, that money, and you would be
Sir,
getting, yeah, tell
sir,
me.
what about open fund in which we can invest anytime?
Yeah, that is open fund is something where you can put in your money, as in you can pull in and invest at any money at any time. At the same time, you can redeem your part of investment at any point in time. So that is your open fund. So even the mutual fund that we're talking about, the NFO thing, NFO is applicable for open fund also. The new fund offer which I'm talking here, so that is applicable for your open fund and for the closed fund, both close-ended fund and open-ended fund. For both kind of funds, this NFO thing would be applicable. NFO is basically when you actually going to invest your money in a certain securities which you have laid out in the prospectus, where the detail is given how you're going to make the investment. So before you actually go ahead and make that investment, you should have the investment available to you, right or wrong? Unless you have money, you cannot go and open a mutual fund. Can you open a mutual fund without the money? Mutual fund money, you can open a mutual fund only when you have money available at your disposal, right? So that money you're going to raise from the investors. So investors would be given a rate for a unit, like 1 unit equates to 10 rupees. Now the investors would be interested to participate in your mutual fund. They will look at the detail of the mutual fund, how the mutual fund look like, what are the prospect, what are the objectives of mutual fund, where the mutual fund is going to invest its money, which all spaces it is catering to, like equity, debt, if debt, how much debt percentage is there, equity, how much equity is there. So all these features or details will be mentioned in the prospectus, and once the investors are comfortable with the with the with the objective of the investment of the mutual fund, they will be investing their money, and when they invest their money, they would be getting what? Units, right? So initially in the early stage, most of the time 1 unit is offered for 10 rupees, the face value I'm telling you. So once you have received it, once you receive this this unit, like suppose just to take an example here, so you invest 10,000 rupees. One second. Okay, so there is an investor, and how much you investing? 10,000. 1 unit equal to rupees 10. Fine. So how many units you would be getting? Number of units. Fine. Agreed, everyone? Same. Right. This is how it would be happening in the early stage when the new fund offer. So whereas a new fund offer, like, give me a second. New fund offer, that is called your NFO. Right. Prospectus would be there. Right. Then investors. Fine. So this is something I'm trying to understand. This is the initial stage I'm telling you. There are two stages involved in a mutual fund. So this stage is something when a mutual fund has decided they are going with a fund name. The fund name has been decided, the prospectus has been decided. Now they have come up with a new fund offer, and it is open for 4 days. 4 to 5 days is an FO open, right? So investors are given 1 unit, 1 unit for how much? For rupees 10. Fine. So 1 unit is given for rupees 10. So if an investor invest 10,000 rupees, so how many units the investor would be able to get? And understand, when the NFO is done, every investor is not given this opportunity. You need to invest a certain threshold money. So you need to invest a certain threshold money. So then only you would be eligible for NFO. Okay. So 1,000 units given to you. Now such amount coming from different investor, second investor, 10,000 units, 10,000 rupees. Again, units, 1,000 units. Okay. So same there would be a number of such investors who are putting their money in the mutual fund. They have given some unit. Now what will happen? Now the mutual fund has to fulfill its objective, the objective of investing in different securities. So mutual fund will take this, two investors are there, 20,000 collected, 20,000 is invested in ₹20,000. Fine. Now mutual fund is investing this 20,000 in different securities. Let's say Reliance, ICICI Bank,
SBI,
SBI, yeah, and what else? Maybe let's say
Barclays.
no, Barclays is a foreign bank, so that's not here in India. So let's take from the Indian point of view right now, just to connect it well. So ICICI Bank, SBI, or you can make some other
Tata.
manufacturing. Tata, yeah, Tata Consumers, Tata Consumer, okay. So they're going to invest your money. That is 20,000 is the pooled in money of the investors. I'm just taking two investors here in this case, but there would be many investors. It is not just two investors. Just to understand from the concept point of view. So let's say they are buying 10 securities of Reliance, right? So one security of Reliance is of maybe 1,000 rupees, total of 10,000 rupees, right? Then ICICI Bank, how much? Maybe 10 securities of ICICI Bank also. And assume it is 200. So net is 2,000. SBI also, that they're buying 10 security of SBI. So, and the price, let's take 100 rupees.
500.
100, that becomes 1,000. Okay. Then Tata Consumer. This is 10,000. For Tata Consumer, they buy 70 securities of Tata Consumer. So how much? Let's take 100 rupees for them also. So it becomes 7,000. Correct? Now look at this. If you look at here, this is the investment of 20,000 rupees that you have made as a fund. Mutual fund has made this investment into equity. It's a equity mutual fund, and so this 20,000 has been invested in this one in this manner. They have bought 10 Reliance share. They bought 10 ICICI Bank share. They bought 10 SBI Bank share. They bought 70 Tata shares, Tata Consumer share. Total of 20,000 rupees investment is done, right? Everyone, and we just saw there were two investors only in this particular example that we're discussing. Everyone invested 10,000 rupees. Then the two investors that we're talking here, each one of them invested 10,000 rupees each, and they got 1,000 units in return of a 10,000 investment that they made into the mutual fund. So it is that investment is shown in the form of units only. Now look at here. So if the next day this Reliance becomes 1,100, so what will happen? Same Reliance, which was 1,000, if this becomes 1,100, so this will become 11,000, right? And if this ICICI Bank becomes 300, then the next day it becomes 300. So how much? 3,000. And this SBI becomes 200, total 2000. And if this Tata becomes, you can very clearly see that security number of securities are not changing. It is the price which is changing, right? Security we can't change, and it becomes 200 again. What is the price here? It is 14,000. So what is the net value? Now in terms of the value, now you need to calculate the value. 11,000 plus 3,000, 14. 14 plus 2, 16. 16 plus 14, 30,000. Total is rupees 30,000, right? So there is a growth in the capital, and the money has been grown. And how much it would be given, because each one was having how much? 1,000 units, right? Each one was having 1,000 units. So proportionately, this amount would be, now divide this 30,000 by the number of units. Number of units, how much number of units are there? 2,000 units are there. And the value, fund value kitne hai? Fund value 30,000. Right? So what is NAV? NAV stands for net asset
value.
Right? So what is net asset value? 30,000 divided by 2,000. How much it is? 15 rupees, right? What was earlier? Earlier it was 10 rupees when it was offered to the investor. In the beginning, when the NFO was open, it was offered at the rate of rupees 1 unit. 1 unit was offered for 10 rupees. But now, with the growth in the share value, where the investment has been put into different shares, different range of shares, the investment has been put into, and with the share price moving up, the growth of fund value will also take place. The fund value becomes 30,000. You divide the value with the number of shares, as in the number of units, not share, because unit was allocated. So you will get the value of per unit. So per unit value is 15 in this case. And if you want to calculate the value, the return value, or you can the fund value for each investor, you can very easily calculate 15 multiplied by 1,000 unit. So that comes out to 15,000. So the investors first investor had put in 10,000, second investor had put in 10,000. So now if you calculate what is their value of investment, so the value investment is 15,000. So it is 50% increase in their investment, right? So this is simple, in a very simple manner I've given you this example. And
सर इसमें जो ये पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं सर, जो इतना काम कर रहे हैं, वो अपने फीस वगैरह या फिर जो भी चार्जेस होंगे वो डिडक्ट नहीं करेंगे? ये पूरा का पूरा उठा के सर इन्वेस्टर को दे रहे हैं?
नहीं, this is just in a very simple, as in I've given you everything to investor, but this does not happen that way. So that's the reason I've given you a very plain and simple example. So as in the fund expenses and everything will also be deducted from the profit, and thereafter the NAV would be calculated.
म्यूचुअल फंड में सर इन्वेस्टर को तो काफी कम दिया जाता है ना, मतलब इन कंपैरिजन, क्योंकि वो खुद ही करते हैं, तो वो ज्यादा अमाउंट अपने पास रखते हैं और इन्वेस्टर को थोड़ा कम देते हैं, मतलब कम परसेंटेज।
नहीं, कम नहीं बोलूंगा. It is as in कम in the sense कि there would be expenses incurred by the fund. So those expenses will also be covered by the fund itself. So fund, whatever capital appreciation happen in a fund, so before an actual NAV is calculated, that expense will also be deducted from the fund value, right? So expense will be deducted from the fund value, and then the NAV calculation will take place. So but it would not be वो कम देते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है. It is not like this. It is just like जो भी expenses और जो कुछ उसके अंदर as a deduction रखा गया है, वो that deduction will take place, and thereafter everything is investors only. So ऐसा नहीं कि अगर मान लो ये Reliance का शेयर है रिलायंस का शेयर मान लो 10,000 का हो गया, जस्ट टेकिंग ए वेरी वाइल्ड एक्सट्रीम एग्जांपल, राइट? 10,000 का हो गया मान लो, तो whose money is this? This is investors' money. So you are just supposed to take the expense charges. That's the operation expense. All those would be deducted. The rest of the money belongs to the investor only. So they're not supposed to.
Exit load.
Yeah.
Exit load.
Yeah. Exit load is only when the investor is going from the fund. So, but the exit
What
load
is
is
the exit load now?
Okay. So okay, what is exit load, Pranav? Would you like to define it before I touch upon this piece?
Sir, let us suppose Lovesh has invested in a fund and now he wants to exit from the fund. While redeeming the mutual fund units, he have to pay some expense out of the fund amount as an exit load when he is redeeming the units.
Right, correct. So this is as in when you have put in your money in a mutual fund, so if you stay invested, there is no exit load. But one fine day you decide now you don't want to stay invested in mutual fund, you need money. And for that you want to redeem the investment that you made with the mutual fund. And when you go for the redemption of the mutual funds, you would have to pay the exit load. Exit load is applicable, and this exit load is higher if you like to you want to exit say with a short interval. Right?
प्रणव माइक बंद कर यार.
So that is how it is.
भाई मेरा माइक बंद है, मेरा माइक बंद है यार.
So I guess someone has unmuted. So guys,
अपूर्वा
please.
का ऑन है.
Okay, so Apurva, can you please just mute your microphone? In case you if you have a question, then do unmute yourself and ask your questions. But as long as you don't have any question, you can keep it unmute, right? And so that others don't.
सर बेसिकली एग्जिट लोड हम कब पे करते हैं?
सर ये बेसिकली पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड से पहले अगर हम उस फंड से निकलना है, देन ओनली यू हैव टू पे एग्जिट लोड. अदरवाइज लाइक इन मैनी केसेस 6 मंथ्स का होता है या 1 ईयर का होता है, बट अगर उसके बाद हम उस फंड से रिडेम्पशन करते हैं तो उसे हमें एग्जिट लोड नहीं देना पड़ता.
Right, absolutely. So this.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah,
what if mutual fund wants to restructure their fund? In which all conditions they can restructure?
Restructure as in the prospectus, you saying?
No, sir. Restructure in securities. Like you have said that there are multiple securities. Let us suppose there are 5 securities: Reliance, SBI, ICICI, and 2 more. अगर लॉस में है म्यूचुअल फंड तो वो रिस्ट्रक्चर कर सकता है ना सर? क्या क्या कंडीशंस होती है जब वो रिस्ट्रक्चर कर सकता है? एंड सर एक क्वेश्चन और है. hedge fund is also an asset management company, right?
Right, yeah.
तो सर इंडिया के हेज फंड के कुछ अलग कॉन्सेप्ट्स हैं. लाइक सेबी हैज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड समथिंग एल्स फॉर हेज फंड. क्योंकि जैसे वर्ल्ड वाइड हेज फंड वर्क करते हैं, इंडिया में वैसे हेज फंड वर्क नहीं करते. तो सर दोनों के अगर बिजनेस मॉडल मेरे को कंपेयर करने हो तो क्या क्या कंपैरिजन में कॉमन और क्या क्या अलग आएगा?
Okay, right. So let's take the first question first. So your first question is if a mutual fund wants to restructure or rebalance. Rebalance is another term which is used for restructuring only. So if you've got 4 securities that we can see: Reliance, ICICI Bank, SBI, and Tata Consumer. These are 4 securities which you have got in the portfolio at the moment, right? But you as a fund manager, see there is not a potential of growth in these company any longer, and therefore you want to move out of these investment and probably like to put your money into companies which have potentially a better growth prospect in future, right? As a fund manager, so now you can rebalance the portfolio. So it is more on the fundamental analysis which a fund manager does. And when they see there is no value left, or there are potentially potential possibility of a company not doing good due to XYZ reason, or these reasons which they look into. Maybe the market factors are dominating. Let's take an example of an aviation factor, aviation market, or aviation as a, if there is a company into aviation side, right? Air India or for that matter Indigo, right? So if I have invested as a fund manager into Indigo, right? So I know the aviation sector is possibly remain in trouble for another 2 years of time, right? This is my assessment of the situation, and this is my assessment. I see the aviation sector potentially don't have any growth in the immediate future, or maybe in a longer future of 2 years of time, 2 years of horizon, right? So now this is a sort of a risk for me as a fund manager, because I need to see the opportunity which are good opportunity for me, where I can see the growth opportunity, the capital appreciation opportunity from the fund manager point of view. And therefore I would like to rebalance my portfolio. So I would like to pull out my money from the aviation sector. Maybe I would be booking some losses also, because now it is not doing good, right? So aviation sector is not doing good, so you're going to book loss on those securities which are invested in the aviation sector, and then the money would be invested in such a sector which has a potential of growth in future, or in the time horizon which the fund manager has decided for the fund. So that is how the rebalancing is done. Rebalancing is more on the fundamental level. So fundamental, when I say, when there are either the chances of company not doing good in the coming future, right, or potentially the company has got some problem in itself. Maybe the management has got a problem, right? If or the company itself has got lesser opportunity. There are more competitors available which are doing good. Let's take an example of SBI as a PSU bank, and there comes another PSU bank which is really going aggressively. So there are the potential chances of that the company is doing good because of their past performance. It looks like another company which is coming as a competitor to the one company where I invested one fine day. Looks like the possibility of that given company growing faster to the company which is there in the market now uh, is mismatched, right? So this could be another factor which would be running in the mind of the fund manager, wherein he may decide to pull out money from one of such security or such company and put in money in some other security where potential of having growth is higher. Okay.
Sir, will they inform investors for this?
Can you repeat your question?
Sir, will they inform investors for this?
Yes, they will have to, because this information is updated on a very regular basis. So if I'm going to invest in as in different securities, right? So on the website itself, they will reflect this where they are investing the money of their investors. So let's suppose they have invested in 4 securities: Reliance, ICICI Bank, SBI, and Tata Consumer today. And tomorrow I decide I need to leave from SBI, right? I need to put my money in some other security. So my rebalancing will also reflect on the website. So the individual mail may not be maybe not going to every individual, right? So but on the website and all, this information would be available, because here it is a bit different. It is not the mutual fund. As in the mutual fund, unit holders do not have the voting rights where you are having kind of a, when you're dealing with the shares, right? It is a bit different. So here it is not wherein the every time the mail would be going for all these kind of rebalancing, but you would definitely be able to see how and what change has been made in a given fund if the same securities are there which were there previously. So that detail can be seen on the website very easily.
सर अगर मैंने जो म्यूचुअल फंड्स हैं टाटा कंज्यूमर के लिए हुए हैं, तो उसके फंड्स जो हैं सर नीचे जा रहे हैं, तो मैं आदित्य बिरला के जो मान लो फंड्स जो हैं, जो कलेक्टर्स हैं, वो आदित्य बिरला के स्विच करना चाहते हैं, तो सर ये मुझे अभी तक क्लियर नहीं हुआ कि सर चार्जेस
हाँ
वगैरह क्या क्या होंगे और उनका मतलब क्या प्रोसेस होगी उनकी सर?
Okay, so first thing is this: as an individual, as an investor, like you are one of the investors, let's take, right? So you don't have this liberty or this option wherein you can choose to change your investment, because it is, this option is not available at your level. This option is available at the fund
Yes sir,
manager
yes
level,
sir, yes sir.
right? So fund manager can take decision in his wisdom what is best for the fund or what is best for the investors invested in that given fund. So as a fund manager, if I feel like it is not a wise decision to stay invested with SBI and better to move with something else, or better to move with this security, so that will be impacted to all the investors. All the investors, like in this case there are only two investors, right? This is just a wild example I've taken. A mutual fund does not work on two investors, like there are n number of investors investing in a mutual fund, and so this decision is going to impact all the investors who are there. So this investment would be going on the new security where you target to invest going forward. So that is how it will happen. And then when you say charges, so charges is similar, like when you put in money in a share, right? There would be a brokerage involved, right? So same, there would be STT tax involved. So all these charges would be applicable for those buying security. So that charges will be levied on the fund expense. It would be a fund expense. So fund expense, when I say, means it will be everyone's expense. So if there are two investors in a fund, so it will be the expense to all those investors, all two investors. And if there are 100 investors, so it would be an expense of all those. So let's suppose the brokerage charges and all the taxes are 1000 rupees as an example. Okay, so that 1000 would be deducted from where? From here, from this 30,000. So that means your total value becomes 29,000 only.
Sir, can a fund manager can easily switch to the another fund?
Another fund? No, you can't. As in switch means as in you become a fund manager to another fund.
SBI से रिलायंस का ले लिया, SBI का मतलब लीव कर रहे हैं जो फंड
हाँ
मैनेजर है, तो
हाँ हाँ
SBI से अपने फंड्स निकाल रहे हैं सारे और
हाँ।
रिलायंस का ले रहा है, तो सर वो इजीली स्विच कर पाएंगे?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होगा। फंड मैनेजर अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट स्विच कर सकता है, किसी और की नहीं कर सकता। तो एज एन इफ यू आर अ फंड मैनेजर फॉर SBI इक्विटी फंड, okay, so now you are the fund manager for this particular fund, so you can only manage this fund. You cannot do anything with the other fund in the market like Reliance. So Reliance would have its own manager, so that manager would look after the Reliance equity fund. And SBI mutual fund, SBI equity mutual fund is in your is your responsibility, because you are the fund manager for that given fund. So these two funds are in the market for investors. You can invest in these two funds, but two fund manager cannot decide to change the structure of a fund or the investment which is there in the fund. Only the fund manager who's assigned on a given fund can take a decision of changing the investment on a given fund.
Okay sir.
Okay. So this is just to give you an understanding, because at times people don't understand this unit thing. They are very confused with units. कैसे होता है, कैसे चलता है, क्या होता है, क्या units का असल में? Because shares you understand. When I say I bought one ICC bank share, it's very easy to understand because वो तो समझ में आता है. लेकिन यूनिट का कॉन्सेप्ट लोगों को कई दफा डिफिकल्ट लगता है या फिर समझ में नहीं आता. But I hope with this particular example I have given here, the unit thing is clear. How this unit work, NAV, that we call net asset value. Anyone still not clear with this? I can take a minute more.
Sir,
to,
reserves. Sir, mutual fund keep cash as an reserve. तो सर वो कितना पोर्शन रिजर्व रख सकते हैं? मैक्सिमम कुछ पोर्शन की कोई लिमिट है या फिर किस बेसिस पे वो रिजर्व मेंटेन किया जाता है?
maximum 5%, not more than 5% they keep as a reserve, right? And there is a reason why they keep that 5% as a reserve, right? So that is for that is to cater the your redemption request and all, right? So usually it can't go more than 5%. At times it is less than 5%. At times it is only 2%. So the 5% of the fund can be in the form of cash. So 5% of this, as in terms of this particular given example, if we talk about, so how much was the investment? Investment was of 20,000, right? Here. So the 5% cash can be there.
Yes, sir.
5%. So that is how the cash reserve is maintained by a mutual fund. Otherwise, most of the amount is invested only. Anyone not clear with this simple example that we covered? Because we need to be very clear with this example that we discussed. If you're not clear, let me know. I can take a minute more to explain it, but we need to be very thorough with the example that we just talked about. It's a very simple to understand example, and if you understand this example, you understand how mutual fund work in principle. I'm not talking about the different expenses which are incurred, and those are also minus plus done, but it is largely from a very high level how the unit value is calculated. If you understand, so you basically understand the principle, how it functions, how the NAV is calculated, this you understand. So largely that way it should be clear to everyone.
हेलो
Yeah, Varun.
सर एनएफओ को एक बार डिफाइन कर दो फिर से.
Okay. So when you say NFO, right? So NFO stands for new fund offer, right? So new fund offer is when a mutual fund goes into market, right? So before the actual investment takes place in different securities, you require a pool of money, so that pool of money can be invested in those securities, right or wrong? So to have that money, what a mutual fund does, mutual fund comes out with this new fund offer, and it is along with the prospectus details which informs the investor how they're going to make investment into different securities or different products and all. So this is very clearly defined in the prospectus itself, right? And thereafter, once the fund is collected, once the money is collected, that money is invested into different security basis the information already defined, designed in the prospectus. The investment is carried out, and accordingly rebalancing, restructuring of the portfolio is done whenever the fund manager feels like it is needed. So that piece is taken care by the fund manager. But as far as the NFO is concerned, NFO is to have enough fund for investing them in the markets, right? And therefore there would be a unit price decided for the NFO to 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 facilitate the NFO process. There would be one unit price decided, and that would be offered to the investors, and accordingly that the unit price would then change to the market price once the investment happens. So now, what is the unit price? If I want to invest now, so what is the unit price?
15.
Yeah, it is 15. So I would not be getting it at 10 rupees. 10 rupees for the initial, when the investors who invested in the beginning in the form when it was new fund offer, that is when the unit price was different. But now the unit price has changed with this investment because the value has changed. As in the stock value, the investment has changed its value. So the unit price now, if I want to take position in this mutual fund, I want to buy some unit, maybe I want to invest 10,000 rupees. So I would be getting this with a unit of 10 rupees per unit. Clear? Similarly, this if this investment grows, the unit price will change. If the unit price change, whoever would be participating or who would be coming in the future would be accordingly paying the same NAV for the fund for unit.
So generally NFOs comes for the 15-day period time limit.
Yes.
Is this the NFO that turns into the open fund after when they comes in the market?
Yes. So there are NFOs which are part of open-ended fund, right? And there are some NFOs which will come as a open close-ended fund, right? So largely, if you talk about a mutual fund, they are largely the open-end mutual fund only. Hedge funds generally have a close-ended structure, right? Hedge funds, and then the exchange-traded funds, right? Exchange-traded fund also have close-ended structures. So exchange-traded fund function in a very similar manner like your normal mutual fund, but their structure is close-ended. So when you participate in those funds, you are bound to stick to that investment to until maturity, right? So that's the mandatory requirement. But the good thing about ETF is ETF can be bought and sell on exchange. So if someone is selling, someone is buying, someone is selling, there would be another buyer available, then only the sell will take place, right? So that way, even if it is a close-ended fund, even when it is a close-ended, there is no challenge. So close-end fund does not mean that you cannot exit the fund, but you can exit only if there is a buyer available to take your position which you had earlier. So who can be a buyer? Buyer can be the owner of the fund or the promoter of the fund. They can buy your position, and if that option is available, then the open-end fund, as in the open-end fund, also an individual who has invested, he can exit, provided the position is taken care by someone else. In case of ETF, when they are close-ended, when I say they are close-ended, that basically means even they take an investment for certain number of days, and thereafter there is no more investment taken, right? It is not open, so that means no more investment will come in the fund. Then what will happen? So if someone is invested in the ETF, the mutual close-ended fund, so if you want to exit, you have a good opportunity in terms of exiting fund, because it is a traded fund. It is available on exchange. So if you want to sell and there is a buyer available, there is a buyer available to take on to your position, right? So you can exit the fund. So that's a good thing about ETFs. Hope it makes
सर ये
sense.
कुछ IPO जैसा ही प्रोसेस है इसमें?
हाँ, it is kind of an IPO, you can, but it's not. It is not exactly IPO, I would say, but it is
Yes, sir.
similar to the process of IPO, you would say, because initial fund offer is like an IPO only.
Okay.
So, sir, this buying and selling can be done only by the fund manager and not by the individual investor.
Yes. So buying and selling of securities can only be done by the fund manager only, because fund manager is looking after the entire portfolio, and you would be buying or selling units. So you have got 20 units and you want to redeem it. Basically, you are selling your 20 units to the fund manager back. So fund manager would be selling those securities back in the market accordingly to redeem your money on the back of those units that you have bought in the beginning.
सर
Okay.
सर फंड में सिर्फ बाय कर सकता है ना, बट रिडम्पशन के लिए तो अलग डिपार्टमेंट होता है म्यूचुअल फंड हाउस में.
हाँ. No, redemption is again so redemption is done in a manner. So one is when you are redeeming, right? So redeeming is done how the redemption will take place. So redemption has to be in the same manner as you bought. There would be a different, as a team, you can definitely, because it's a big fund house, so there would be teams who would be doing this task. But whenever there is a redemption,
इन्वेस्ट कहाँ करना है और उसके मतलब कब उसको रीस्ट्रक्चर करना, रीबैलेंस करना, यही वर्क होता है ना सर?
हाँ, ये largely broadly you can say this is the work. They are more focused from the point of view of growing the fund, looking for the opportunity where they can invest and pull out the money from the investments where it is not doing good, right? And constantly monitor. They are to ensure they outperform the benchmark. the objective is to outperform the benchmark if it is an active fund. If it is a index fund, then they're going to mirror the performance of the index. And if it is your active fund, so that means the objective of a fund manager is to outperform the benchmarks and give better returns to the investor. And for that, and for this, they need to constantly seek the opportunity where they can put their money, put the money of their investors and get better returns to them if the existing investments are not doing better. If the existing investors are doing fine, they can keep invested with those securities also, right? Yeah. Okay, so is there any chance that the NFO opens at a higher price than the price it was listed, for example, in case of IPO? So no, it is not like this. So NFO is not like your complete IPO. So IPO is a different, somewhat different, I would say, because IPO, if you look at, you have given a price when, as in the floor and the cap price when an IPO is floated in the market, right? And then the process takes place, and at the end the allocation takes place according to the structure of the process there. So there would be n number of people who would have received that IPO, right? So those people is going to receive the ownership of those securities which they bought from the IPO. That is the IPO process, right? And once you receive those securities, now the as a company, shares going to be listed on the exchange. And when it is listed in exchange, there can be capital appreciation. It can open up like boom in terms of the share price just going like anything, right? And this is one. And there could be a possibility wherein the price of the share goes down. That's another possibility. People don't like the IPO, and the share price on listing goes down. That's another thing. But the important thing is IPO, there is a floor and the cap price. Basis that floor and cap, this IPO is done, right? That's once it is done, it is going to be listed. In case of mutual fund, nothing, listing is not happening anywhere. Listing and all is not happening. What is happening is once the mutual fund is created, there is structure around it, how it is created and all. So that we are going to discuss in this slide only. We'll probably focus more on that the slide. I'll tell you when. So there is once a mutual fund is out in the market, so then the NFO takes place. And NFO usually, this unit price may differ. I'm not saying this is something will always be 1 unit is equal to 10 rupees. No, it is not like this. It can change, but the trend is the NFO has this as a base price. In most of the cases, the base price remains like this only, 1 unit equal to rupees 10 as a face value. And this is given only to those investors who invest in the early stage of the mutual fund, right? When the mutual fund is just created. So when you in that moment or in that time frame, if you invest in that mutual fund, so you would be entitled to have a unit price which is established in the beginning only. That's a base price, you can say. And thereafter it will be determined with the help of the market price, because the amount would be invested in the securities only. So whatever the market price of the security would be, that security value would be driving the NAV value for those for that mutual fund. Hope it makes sense.
So when I order any orders, I mean when I place intraday orders, there's something which comes up below the order. It comes up as NFO in Zerodha under Bank Nifty. So is that the same thing new fund offer?
You saying in mutual fund? Do they offer mutual fund also?
No. Like I can send you a screenshot in the group. So
yeah, maybe
it comes up as NFO. Wait, let me just.
That might be, if it is for stocks, then it has definitely
No, options.
Options.
Yeah, I'm just sending. I'm just curious to know, is this also?
Yeah, that is your
Sir,
what? That is F and no, I guess.
No,
sir,
NFO.
funds can
I've
invest
sent
in
it.
derivative, but not more than 6%, I think so.
Where?
I've sent it in the group.
Okay, okay,
Sir,
sure.
I think mutual fund can invest in future and options, but not more than 6% of the total fund. I think so. That's an exact percentage. I think 6%.
Yeah, no. In fact, mutual funds are not allowed to invest in derivatives. They can invest in derivatives only when they want to hedge their position. So this is
Yes,
a
sir,
condition.
but there is a limit of a percentage. I think so. 6% is
Yeah.
the limit.
Yes, it was 5% last time when I read. Maybe it is increased to 6%. I'm not very sure. So it was 5% somewhere last time when I read this thing. So maybe 6% as you have read the recent one. So it would be 6%, 5 to 6% you can say. They
Yes,
can
sir.
invest 5 to 6% they can invest in derivative, but the objective of investing in derivative should not be leveraging, it should be of hedging only. So when I say hedging is, you have put in money in some of securities, right? So then you go into invest and some part of money into derivative to hedge the risk which a security has. So, and it would be for a short period of time. It would not be for a long period of maybe for 6 months, maybe for 3 months. So that is the time horizon why you're going to, and you can keep changing it. It is not, you cannot do it later. You can do it later also for some other security also, but it is for a given security, it would be for a short period of time. So that is how it is meant for mutual fund. Hedge fund are allowed to do everything. Hedge fund can invest in derivative, they can also do short selling, and although mutual fund are not allowed to do short selling also. And this is also something important. Somebody at times people ask when there is a, when you go for the interview, especially for the mutual fund. So if an mutual fund manager wants to do short selling of number of securities because he knows the market tomorrow or the next day is going to open gap down, right? And now given it is going to gap down, it is better to do some short selling with the investment available now, right? So will the investment manager or fund manager do that? Fund manager is very clear in his mind, tomorrow it is going to be gap down. So shall fund manager do with this approach, or what the fund manager will do? It's in this way. There can be a question. So short selling is not allowed for mutual fund houses. Okay, so I guess he has sent NFO. Okay, and I'll have to check for Nifty, and this is Nifty, right? N is for
So
Nifty.
that's Bank Nifty just below that.
Okay. Yeah. So this NFO actually stands for Nifty. N is for Nifty, right? And F and O is F and O, futures and option.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So N stands for Nifty, and FO stands for futures and option. Okay. So let's move on. Okay. So coming to the slides now. So asset management is the professional management of various securities and assets in order to meet specified investment goals for the benefit of investors. So if you look at this statement, you can very clearly see, in order to meet specified investment goals for the benefit of investors. So when you say in order to meet specified investment goals, so that means you have already defined those goals somewhere, and the objective of the fund manager would be to meet those goals which are defined there in the prospectus. So which is why this line is very categorically mentioned, in order to meet the specified investment goals of the benefit of investors. So my aim as a fund manager might be to outperform a benchmark, right? And which is why the investors want to invest their money in an active fund. And otherwise, they can also invest in a Nifty, bank Nifty funds also.
Sir,
Bank
I
Nifty.
have a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, fund manager cannot do short selling, but can they redeem some units of that share?
When you say redeem, as in if there is a request
Let
coming for
us
redeem.
suppose, sir, let us suppose Reliance की कुछ units, काफी units है mutual fund house पे, और उन्हें पता है नेक्स्ट डे गैप डाउन होने वाला है और कुछ टाइम तक ट्रेंड कंटिन्यू रहेगा और
हाँ
तो उनकी
हाँ
यूनिट्स ऑलरेडी लॉसेस में जा सकती हैं. कैन दे रिडीम टुडे?
हाँ, they can do that. They can do because this is something, this is basically selling, right? When you say redeem, they are selling the securities or rebalancing the portfolio, right?
Yes, sir.
Rebalancing of the portfolio is possible if they have this.
Sir, this is the switching of securities, no?
Limit है ना?
Apurva, what's the question?
Sir, this is like switching of the securities that fund managers can do.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Switching of
So
शायद कुछ
securities.
लिमिट्स है ना कि मतलब मल्टीपल टाइम्स सेलिंग या रिडम्पशन नहीं हो सकता म्यूचुअल फंड हाउस के थ्रू. ऐसा कुछ
right.
मतलब एक्ट के अंदर कुछ है क्या? डिटेल क्या है सर उसकी?
उसकी डिटेल अभी इसमें आगे स्लाइड्स में दी हुई है. आई एम नॉट रिमेम्बरिंग एग्जैक्टली बट देयर आर सर्टेन as in you can't do any number of switches because then
Yes, sir.
you're violating those and it is also mentioned in prospectus also how many switches a fund manager can do. All these things is also mentioned. So that is the reason the fund manager has to be very careful and choosy about his investment. And you see, when a fund manager invests in a in any security, they don't invest for a short time. They actually have a time horizon of a year or more, unless there is some market systemic systemic problem. When I say it's a problem in system itself, right, then it's a different story. But even the systemic problem has its own challenges, because systemic problem has to do with all the securities. It would not be limited with one security then, and therefore even the fund manager wants to pull out its investment from that given security, it would not work because it will be impacting the entire portfolio. So mutual fund usually are considered to be the good investment for everyone. Why? It is diversified investment rather than investing in a stock. If somebody is not uh, very comfortable with the idea of investing in stock market, so then the next good idea is invest in mutual fund. Why? Because mutual fund is one managed by expert, some fund manager with with a great understanding of the market, with over certain number of years, certain numbers of years into the financial market, understanding about these different kind of product. That kind of a person would be managing the fund. That kind of person would be looking after your money, and he would be doing it dedicatedly. He would not be doing a part-time basis thing. So he would be putting all his energies and effort into making this grow, your fund grow, and his bonuses, his incentives, his rewards all depends upon how better or good he performs on your investment. So this is a motivation for the fund manager and his team. So in case an individual like me or you, or for that matter anyone, is not keen to put his money in stock because I don't have time, one. Another, I don't think stock is something for me because I know stock is at times go up, is up, is down, and I don't want to remain in this kind of a situation wherein I keep monitoring how it is working, it is not working. So I better go with a mutual fund and put my money there. And with that, what will happen? Mutual fund has got its own advantages, and the advantage is it is diversified, and therefore diversification will lead to some sort of an increase in the value over the time. So that is how it is. Okay, moving on. So there are three types of investors: retail investors, high net worth investors, institutional investors. Right? So they all invest in mutual fund. So all different kind of investors invest in mutual fund. Okay. So these clients represents large pool of assets for government pension funds, corporate pension funds, endowments, foundations. Industry investors are also referred to in the industry as sophisticated investors. They represent almost 3/4 of asset management in Europe and US. Okay. What are endowments and foundations? Anyone?
Foundations that which are working for the well-being and for the betterment of the society equals foundations.
Right, right. And what are endowments? Okay. So government pension fund, corporate pension fund, and this is already clear to you. So I'm not going to touch upon these two. Just to touch upon endowments and foundations. So endowments are made for different purposes within the society, within a state, or within a country, right? So it can be for a management of higher education, and so just to give you an example, there are many universities in US and in India also, like JNU is also run on endowment, partly coming from government and partly from other sources also. So endowment is kind of it is the kind of a donation, you can say, which is coming for a particular purpose, and purpose can be education as one of the examples. So education is one fundamental requirement, and everyone should be getting a desired level of education, right? And therefore you need to have a fund which can ensure the education is available to every individual, or and also the meritorious student, right? There is scholarship, and I have also offered, if you have seen, there are universities which are which offer scholarships and all. So if there is a meritorious student, he should be given some sort of an incentive, some sort of a benefit over others, while he pursues or she pursues his or her education from a universities, especially from good universities, right? So you have uh, that advantage of doing your education from a brand name and renowned institution. So institution also benefit with your with your talent, and at the same time you also you add more value to your CV with the help of having education done from a renowned institution, right? That's another. So while you are being offered scholarship, right? So if the fee is 20,000 rupees and you are just paying 10,000, so who's managing your 10,000? The expense is 10,000, right? So as in 20,000, the entire cost for the education for you for that given year is 20,000, but you are paying only 10,000 because you have been offered a scholarship of 10,000 for a given year. So how that 10,000 would be managed? That would be managed from this endowment funds. Endowment would be, this fund would again be managed by the fund manager only, and where this fund would be keep investing in different securities, and the endowment fund would be managed by the university, and from there they would be pulling out some of the money, and that money would be offered in the form of scholarship and various other expenses which a university incur on, right? And the rest of the amount will keep on invested in the market. Similarly, on the similar line, the foundations are also there. Foundations like trust and all various welfare welfare
NGOs.
NGOs, yeah, right, very well said. NGOs, all these NGOs which are called foundation also, so which have uh, which have some cause attached to it, like NGOs have a cause attached to it, and various other trust and all which are running for some purpose. So they're all have got funding coming to them, and that fund is being invested in some of a fund, wherein that when the fund is made and that is invested into some securities in the market only, because they will need this money for the future and the future requirement, future purposes, and they will pull out part of the money, and remaining money will remain invested in in that fund. So that is how this endowments and foundations are there. Clear? Institutional investors are also referred to in the industry as sophisticated investors. So this you know. Sophisticated investors basically means the investors who have a fair amount of understanding about risk and reward of investing in financial market or mutual funds or stocks. So they are considered to be sophisticated investors. So they understand market better than someone who is very naive to the industry, or a layman who has nothing to do with stock market. Maybe one fine day on someone's suggestion, another person invest in the financial market or a stock market for that matter. So that person is not considered a sophisticated investor. Sophisticated investor are one who actually invest very regularly in the market, and they have a very strong control or strong understanding of the financial market. They are considered sophisticated investors. Okay. High net worth investors, you know what are high net worth investors? The classification used by financial services industry to denote an individual or family with a high net worth. Most commonly quoted figure for membership in the high net worth club is 1 million in liquid financial assets. So this is as a given as a.
So these investors can invest in the startup.
Yes. As a fund manager, you saying?
Yes, sir.
No, fund manager can invest in mid cap, small cap, because you know there is a multi cap fund.
So मैं दोनों की बात कर रहा था. Investors तो सर individual भी तो कर सकते हैं इसमें startups में, जिनकी 1 million से ज्यादा net worth है.
हाँ बिल्कुल कर सकते हैं. स्टार्टअप में तो वेंचर फंड, as in venture capitalist or private equity, all these people can invest in startup.
Angel investors also, sir.
Angel investors can also invest, right? So all these kind of investors can invest in startups because they see their own reason of investing in these startups. They find some value proposition of investing in these companies, so they can certainly go ahead and invest the money in these startup companies. And from the fund manager point of view, they can invest in if you have multi-cap fund. So multi-cap basically means small cap, mid cap, and large cap. So if they have already defined this in the prospectus, how they're going to do the investment, so then they can invest in the small companies, but they're going to invest in public companies only. They're not going to invest in private company. Mutual fund never invest in private company. They invest in public company only, which are already listed on exchange.
Yeah. आपने जो IPO वाली PDF दी थी वो ईलन मार्केट की थी.
हाँ, ईलन मार्केट की है, अच्छी है वो.
हाँ सर, ईलन मार्केट के जो एंजल इन्वेस्टर है वो रतन टाटा है.
Oh, is it? Okay, I did not know this.
Yes,
Ratan Tata is the angel investor. Oh, that's great.
Yes,
that's good news. As an good to know for everyone. Because I was not aware about this he's an angel investor for Elon Market. But Elon Market is doing a good job in terms of sharing or providing this education to people. It is good in a sense.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So okay, move on. Retail investor. Okay, let's.
So.
Yeah.
Hedge funds would invest in venture capitals.
Yes, hedge fund can do. Hedge fund can invest in anything and everything. They can invest in venture capital. Oh, sorry. They can invest in startup. They can invest in any other company also. Small, big, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, hedge fund can invest in anything and everything, you can say. And venture capitalist is another kind of investors only. So they seek opportunity of investing in good investment opportunities. So if they figure out there is a good company, or they figure out there is a good idea where they think they're putting their money and making that idea bigger is a sense for them, if that looks a sense to them or means something to them, then they can probably go with that investment. So venture capitalist is someone who is having good money. Capitalist, you understand, right? So capitalist is someone who is having good money, huge money. A venture is something, the enterprise, right? So you look at some enterprise which has got some potential growth in future, and as an investor I look for this opportunity wherein I would like to put my money in some projects or some ideas which have good potentials of growing, in the future. So that is what the venture capitalists do. And hedge fund can invest everywhere, anywhere. They have this tendency of investing uh, in investment which mean a lot of value to them, and they put the money. It can be for short term, it can be for a long term also, depending upon how they perceive or uh, look look to a particular investment. Okay, so retail traders in much smaller amount than the institutional investors. So what retail investor mean, you understand, I don't spend time here. These are the examples of asset management company. These are lot of names are there. You might have heard these names. Most of them are foreign names. Most of them are the foreign names. Invesco, you would have heard the Invesco, right? And Vanguard, American funds. PIMCO is there. PIMCO is a very big hedge fund. It's a big hedge fund, right? Fidelity is there. Fidelity is in India also. PIMCO is not there in India. Invesco is there in India. Invesco is there. Putnam Investment Fund. This is also one of the hedge funds.
So ING is also there in India, no?
ING is there, right? ING is there, and ING. This was a Netherlands company. ING. There was an ING bank. You remember? There was an ING bank some time back.
Yes, sir.
And that bank is no more. That has been taken over by Kotak Mahindra. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, the services offered by asset management division. So asset management is just not a mutual fund. It has got these three different things, I would say. Right. So when you look at asset management is just not about mutual fund. A mutual fund is just part of asset management. Then you have portfolio management, you have hedge funds also. So this will all come under asset management only. What is portfolio management? What is portfolio management?
Sir, it is
So
more like
basic.
of mutual fund, but have the short-term view, which creates wealth for the investor
Yeah.
through investing in
Like,
various securities by an
yeah.
experts.
Yeah.
Sir,
Right.
it helps and guide the investors to invest in securities.
Okay.
So portfolio management is basically the managing entire money of a particular person on a or so in different avenues. That can be that can be mutual fund, that can be real estate, that can be stocks, that can anything.
Right. Very well said. So if I just put it this way, as in, what differences you see in mutual fund vis-a-vis portfolio management? Do we see any differences in mutual fund and portfolio management? Are these two different, or these are not different?
Yes, sir, both are different.
Both are different. So how do you say, as in,
Sir,
how do you say these are different?
like, sir, because a portfolio includes all the things. Everything comes inside a portfolio. Your insurance, your mutual funds, investment in various financial instruments. And as far as the mutual fund is concerned, we are talking about only mutual fund, only about a specific investment.
Yeah, right.
So in this way, portfolio management includes mutual funds, investment in mutual funds.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In that way, we can say.
Yeah. And yeah, right. So
Sir,
if you
it
look at
is
the
more
portfolio
like a customization. Depends
right.
upon the investor's need.
So just to put it in as in another question before you. So portfolio management is meant for whom? Is the service meant for me or for you or for whom this service is for?
Sir, for all.
Okay, for all. Okay, fine.
So basically, this is the services provided for the HNI's customers, portfolio
Hmm.
management. The service is basically for the HNI's customers.
Okay, right. Okay. Okay. So as an individual, I can certainly opt for future portfolio management. That's not as an issue. But rightly said, it is largely for HNI people only. Why? Because there is a huge fees involved in portfolio management, and it would not be offered to retail investor for sure. Why? Because if you reach out to any investment bank, they will ask you what is your investment portfolio. So if you say I just want to invest only few lakhs, oh, that they will say okay, then go to somewhere else because we can't manage your portfolio in lakhs for few lakhs only. They usually manage a portfolio worth crore and more, right? So when they are managing a portfolio worth crore, so basically they're catering to a certain segment of people who have got high net worth, right? They're not looking or hunting for every individual for portfolio management. Portfolio management is something which is where they are managing your all kind of asset, right? And they are the one who's saying where to invest, how to invest, when to pull out. All these things, all these decisions are made by the portfolio manager. Portfolio manager is like a fund manager, but in case of the fund manager, in case of fund manager at mutual fund or the or hedge fund, there is a dedicated one fund manager for an entire mutual fund. So there could be lakhs of investors investing in a mutual fund, and that fund or that investment coming in the form of fund is being invested by the fund manager with his wisdom, with his understanding in the market. However, when you look at the portfolio management service, it is an individual service given by the fund manager. So there is a portfolio manager assigned to one portfolio, and that portfolio manager is looking after the investment of an individual person, right? So individual is an HNI for sure. It's a as a wealthy person who has got a lot of money to invest into different things, and he does not have enough time to invest all these things. So he need a dedicated person who can take care of all this investment. So to say simply, this portfolio management service is meant for high net worth people only, right? I as an individual would not be able to avail the service because this will cost me huge, and as a retail customer you would like to not like this portfolio service of portfolio management because it is so costly. And the mutual fund in the other sense is a portfolio management only, which you can avail at a cheaper cost by investing in a mutual fund. Right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So
Sir, I have
yeah.
invested in mutual funds.
Okay, that's great. Which mutual fund?
Sir, SBI.
Okay, great. Okay, then that's good. So especially for those who want to be, who do not want to uh, take a risky, as in the risky proposition of investment. So better, it is better, or it's a good idea to invest into mutual
Sir,
fund
return
because
बहुत
if
कम है
you,
लेकिन.
yeah, the returns are less, but if you look at the return, like let's suppose you are 22 right now, okay, and if you remain invested in the mutual fund for about 30-40 years, that amount will grow like anything. It will reach in crores.
Yes, sir.
It will reach in crores. So the better is, if you really want to invest your money, even go with 1000 rupees a month. That is also fine, but it needs to be constant investment, and that has been proven with mutual fund, that if you keep invested in mutual fund for a long term means 30 years plus, even with a bigger investment of 1000 rupees, there have been multiple or many such cases where the investment has grown to 1 crore also, right? So it is not something I'm talking fancy, it is a real world thing I'm telling you. So even a 1000 rupees which you would be any which way investing or
तो
spending here
मेरे
and
एक
there
फ्रेंड
on
के
media.
पापा ने किया था,
Yeah.
उनके सर 20 साल में अराउंड मतलब सर 5 करोड़ का प्रॉफिट.
हाँ, हो सकता है उनका इन्वेस्टमेंट थोड़ा ज्यादा रहा होगा, लेकिन इवन इफ यू डोंट हैव दैट बिग इन्वेस्टमेंट टू मेक इन म्यूचुअल फंड, यू कैन गो विद 1000 also, because you need to look at your pocket. You cannot go with a 5000 10,000 investment every month, right? Because your pocket allows only 1000 rupees. So just make it 1000 investment, and it goes for everyone. I guess if you can manage to invest 1000 in your mutual fund and all, it is going to play out tremendously over the years. And mutual fund, it's not, even if you do not want to go with the active fund, just go with your nifty your index fund, right? Index fund, very simple to understand. आप बोलो 2008 में इंडेक्स कितने पे था, राइट? कितने परसेंटेज की ग्रोथ हुई है, उतने परसेंटेज की आपकी भी ग्रोथ हो जाएगी. इट इज एज सिंपल एज दैट, सिंपल टू अंडरस्टैंड, राइट? अगर मैं बोलूं इंडेक्स 2008 में 10,000 पे था और आज अगर वो 14,000 में है, तो कितने परसेंटेज की ग्रोथ हुई है, उतने ही परसेंटेज की ग्रोथ आपके 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 वैल्यू में भी होगी. इट इज वेरी सिंपल अंडरस्टैंड, राइट? क्योंकि इंडेक्स फंड का जो ऑब्जेक्टिव है, इट इज नॉट टू आउट परफॉर्म, इट इज टू मीट द सेम रिटर्न विच द इंडेक्स इज गिविंग. So you can decide for yourself. It is up to an individual how they want to invest. And if you can invest in stock, that is also a good investment, because that is better, but you will have to spend time. Okay, so coming back to the topic now. Okay, let us take some 10-minute break. Okay, so and then we'll resume. Fine, guys?
ओके सर.
Okay. Okay, so everyone is there. Shall we
Yes,
start?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Start.
Okay, great. Okay, so we were discussing about portfolio management, right? So portfolio management, mutual fund, hedge fund, all these are clubbed under asset management, first of all. And portfolio management is meant for people who are wealthy people, who are high net worth individual. So given this portfolio management service is not affordable service, it's a costly service which is meant for a certain segment of people, which are the wealthy people which can afford this service. So that is what the portfolio management service is all about. And the mutual fund, you understand now what mutual fund is. The example that we did in the beginning was for the mutual fund only. And the hedge fund also, you understand, hedge fund and mutual fund have got some similarities, but they're not exactly similar. The reason is very obvious. Hedge fund caters to hedge fund caters to sophisticated customer. Hedge fund does not cater to retail customer, and therefore the hedge fund has a better risk and reward attached to it. Uh, so better risk and reward, when I say, there are better rewards and there are higher risk also, because you as an individual would not be aware about where the hedge fund is uh, investing the money collected from the investors, right? On the other hand, when you compare it with a mutual fund, you can probably be able to find it out in and out how the collected money or the sum of money which is coming from various investors is being utilized. That is very clearly defined and mentioned on its website, in its portfolio. And even when the rebalancing and restructuring of the portfolio happens, then also this detail is very clearly spelled out on website. So in that sense, you can say mutual fund are different from hedge fund. And hedge fund take risky trades that can be in the form of short selling, that can be in the form of putting investment in a project, or in some kind of investment which is lucrative for a short period of time, like example IPL is one event which happens for a short period of time. And if some hedge fund has IPL on its radar, so, and they see some value of investing in an IPL with a hope they can make better returns, right? So that is also one of an investment which a hedge fund may have in its portfolio, aiming a good return or a good profit out of that given investment. So, and hedge fund are allowed to put money into derivatives. Mutual funds are not allowed to put into derivatives unless they are going to manage the risk on the equity side. Then they can probably go and do some part of investment into derivative side. Otherwise it is largely into the equity and the debt side where the mutual fund invest into. That's another. And the last one I can say, to compare the similarities between the hedge fund and the mutual fund, is the hedge fund is allowed to do the short selling, which the mutual fund is not allowed to do. So mutual fund has to go long, and the hedge fund can also go short on their investment, right? So uh, hope we are clear with the asset management, with these three arms of asset management. One is hedge fund, and then mutual fund and portfolio management. So if someone asks you what's the fine difference between portfolio management and the mutual fund, so the first thing you need to always specify, the mutual fund is meant for retail customers, right? It is meant for retail customer. Any customer or any person who even does not have a fair understanding about the financial market can also invest in mutual fund. And if you talk about portfolio management service, this is a service which is offered to wealthy people who have lot of wealth, lot of money to manage, and the individual is not capable enough to manage it all on his own, then a mutual portfolio management service is generally offered by a division of investment bank or the financial institution who have greater, wider understanding about the financial market, and who understand the bigger picture of investment into different products or the financial market. So those people offer portfolio management service to a set of people who have who have uh, who have great wealth or huge money to manage. Okay, any confusion as of now? Okay, so let us move on. Okay, fair enough, great. So you just look at this these terms given a group of financial assets such as shares, stocks, bonds, debt, instruments of mutual fund, cash, equivalent, etc. Plan to stabilize the risk of non-performance of various pools of investment, organization and coordination of activities in accordance with a well-defined policy and in achievement of predefined objectives, right? So it is combined portfolio plus management. So portfolio is at one hand, the management is on the other hand. So management in itself means you're managing it. So when you're managing, you are also organizing the way of managing those assets, and you need to have a structure or defined plan how you're going to manage it, what is one after another. All these things is something one should be very well versed with. One should be having that level of understanding by which you can be very uh, very organized with a sense of investment you're doing. It should not be like you've done investment, you've forgotten it, now you're not looking at the investment. It needs to be monitored on a regular basis so that the desired level of profit and returns can be given to the investor. So this is what the management is all about. Portfolio is already very clear with the detail given there. Portfolio management guides the investor in a method of selecting the best available security that will be provided and expected to return for any given degree of risk, and also to mitigate the risk. So it is largely when a portfolio management service is taken here, the aim is the portfolio manager would be doing that investment for the person. It is not, it would be advised. Advisory service can also be there if the person wants. I would be managing my asset on my own. You just offer me the advisory service in terms of the portfolio management advisory. So there can be a manager, portfolio manager, who can advise or give an advisory to a person who has got this investment to made, and that way also it can work. Strategic decision is addressed by top level managers. Okay, so this is just a plain example, simple example given to you. I am John. I have this as in $100,000, age 40 years, want to invest the money in financial market other than real estate investment, earn a considerable rate of return with a less possible risk, no investment in real estate, right? This is the objective given here. This guy, yeah.
So can you please clear me with hedge funds? Sir, I'm not clear with hedge funds. What are actually
Okay.
they are?
Okay, no worries. So let us talk about hedge fund again. So hedge fund and mutual fund, these two entities look similar in quite a few manner and quite a few ways, you can say. So what a mutual fund is doing, mutual fund is collecting a pool of money from different investors, right? Hedge fund is doing the
Yes, sir.
similar thing. Hedge fund is also collecting a pool of money from sophisticated investors. So in terms of investor, I would also add one more word before investor, that is called sophisticated investor. So sophisticated means who understand risk and reward attached to investing in hedge fund. So as hedge fund invest in anything and everything which is beneficial and profitable for the hedge fund. Therefore, as an investor, I need to be very well versed with this idea of hedge fund investing in anything and everything. That should be clear, and that can be clear to someone who is who understand investing, who knows investing. So it is not any layman can go and invest in hedge fund. There is a threshold assigned for investing in hedge fund. So now someone who has got a money worth some 300,000 USD, right? 300,000 USD is eligible to invest in hedge fund from the US point of view. And in India, I guess this is close to 1 lakh or more. If you got a money more than 1 lakh, then only you are eligible to invest in a hedge fund. So it is not given. This is
So
not.
basically, these are sophisticated investors who have more knowledge than any particular investor related to the funds.
Absolutely. So these are the investors who are uh, more aware, more connected with the financial market, and at the same time they have an appetite of absorbing more risk, right? So if I have an appetite of absorbing more risk, so probably I can aim to invest in a hedge fund with an objective of earning better return or more returns, right? So hedge fund many times offer a return of 25% or more, and there have been some of the hedge funds which have given even 40% returns to their investors, right? So in a normal scenario, probably in a mutual fund you would not be able to expect more than 15% if it is all normal, right? 15% is quite a good decent return if you are able
बहुत
to
ज़्यादा
avail it.
10%.
Right. So mutual fund at times, if you stay invested for a certain number of years, let's say for 25, 30 years, mutual fund have given this level of return for sure. This is not this is not something as in I would say is not possible, and it has been possible and it's been done in past and would continue for another few decades, I'm sure, in India especially. So, but hedge fund can even give more returns to their customers. Even 25%, 30% return can also be given to their customers. So that is the hedge fund. And hedge fund are, so it is similar in kind of the way they are collecting money. They're collecting one, mutual fund is collecting from the retail customer, right? And also the other institutional investors also. It is from both, right? From institutional investors and at the same time from the retail investors also. Hedge fund is just going with the accredited investors, or you can say sophisticated investors who have a fair understanding about the risk and reward associated with investing in hedge fund. So they know their promised return can be met, and they also understand there can be chances of losing money, and the money which is being invested in hedge fund is not small money. Like the 1000 example which I gave you, in case of mutual fund you can even invest 1000, or there are even mutual fund where one can even go with a 5000 rupees as a minimum investment in the form of SIP, right? So if you look at mutual fund and if you look at hedge fund, there is a huge difference in terms of the money required to invest in both different kind of investments, right? So hedge fund is only meant for sophisticated investor and who can bear uh, or who can absorb higher degree of risk or profit, both. Okay, hope it makes sense.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Oh, okay, let's move on. Okay, let's come now. Okay, this example. John, this amount, okay, age 40, fine. Want to invest money in the financial market other than real estate. So he does not want to invest in real estate, but he wants to invest in all other options available, all other investments, right? So look at recommended portfolio. So portfolio given to him is, his age is 40. Look at the age, because investment portfolios, whenever these investment portfolio are made, they're always made uh, with various made by taking various factors into account. So age is also one of the factors. So if you are already 60 or 55 plus, so there is a higher probability of immediate cash requirement or immediate requirement of funds, right? So in that case, the fund manager has to be sensible enough to understand how an individual is going to do in the next couple of years or next few years, and accordingly the portfolio should be designed so that if I have an immediate requirement of fund, I should not fall in trouble wherein I'm not able to pull out my investment, and therefore I'm not able to make right use of my investment. Right. So these are the factors which really need to be understood by a fund manager before any kind of a portfolio is designed for the investor. So if you look at here, how the investment is designed. So $25,000 is being invested in your government bonds, right? And then the bank fixed deposit $15,000, $35,000 is invested in shares, and the mutual fund 25,000. So if you can say in shares, right? If you look at here percentage wise, so shares is 35% and the mutual fund is also 25%, right? So overall 60% of investment is into shares only, I would say, right? So in share market has been invested about 60% only. Then the fixed deposit is kind of absolutely, you can say it's a risk-free investment. So there the investment is 15%. Then this is also kind of less risky, right? This is also less risky government bonds. So there the investment has been 25%. So this is how the investment has been made, wherein the 40% investment is risk-free in
Sir,
a
what is
sense.
the security
And
column?
security is high risk, low risk. I think this is from the risk point of view. Government bonds, it should be low risk, low returns, fine. It should not be high, it will be low.
Sir,
No. Security is from the point of view how secure your investment is, right? How
Risk.
secure your investment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
risk.
Amount
Right?
of risk.
Amount of risk attached to your investment. That way it is. So if you look at government bond from the security point of view, you know it is the highest secured form of investment. It's you're doing, right? Government can't fail. Fixed deposit, again, it is also a very secure investment that is there. Shares is a low secured because the chances of company becoming bankrupt or investment going for toss, so it is low, you would rate it low. Mutual fund, you would say average. Why you say average? Though it is kind of an investment, but it is a diversified investment, different securities, right? So you can say it's an average risk is there, right? And return wise, it is given
sir,
what returns you can expect from your investment. Yeah, tell me, Banav.
sir, can I go?
Yeah, you want to go?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no worries, you can.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome, no worries. Okay, so let's continue with the next slide then. Mutual fund. What is mutual fund now? Mutual fund we have largely already discussed, right? So mutual fund is a vehicle to mobilize money from investor to invest in different markets and securities in line with the investment objectives agreed upon between the mutual fund and the investors. So again, if you look at this last line given, in line with the investment objectives agreed upon between the mutual fund and the investors. So when this kind of statement is given, so basically it reflects there is an agreement made between the investors and the fund house, how uh, the growth or returns on the investment would be made, right? So the objective is defined, how the investment would be done to meet the desired returns or uh, the desired yield, you can say, desired profit, you can say, is how that would be made is already defined in the objective. Objective is in the form of the prospectus, which is signed and approved by SEBI in the beginning when the NFO and everything is done. So that point in time, it goes through approval stage, and thereafter this mutual fund is rolled out to the investors. So this is already specified in detail how that investment objective is going to be fulfilled, where all the investment would be made, and with that this objective would be fulfilled. So this detail is already given. If it is going to outperform the index, if the objective is to outperform the index, so index is giving you 12%, let's say an example. So if the objective is to outperform, so they can definitely be making their own judgment, or their decisions would be their own decision would be taking place for the investment being done in the fund, right? So this is empty, this is half, this is now it is complete, completely full. Through investment mutual fund, a small investor can avail of professional fund management services offered by an asset management company. So this is one of the advantage of investing in mutual fund. As a normal retail customer or retail
That's
investor,
so paid.
yes, the money plant is there, right? Your money is growing, so the money plant is also growing in a proportionate manner. This is small money plant here. This is a bigger money plant, and this is a very big grown and widespread money plant now. So it reflects how your money is being growing, right? So you must be feeling happy looking at these four glasses.
काश की होता सर मनी प्लान.
हाँ कैसा होता?
होता सर पेड़ पैसों का.
मनी प्लांट, हाँ नहीं मनी प्लांट तो है ना, मनी प्लांट तो होता है.
उसमें पैसे नहीं लगते ना.
नहीं पैसे नहीं लगते, लेकिन पैसे as in the belief system is if you have money plant there would be money in your house, right? So maybe you also start.
Stolen one.
Which one?
You don't have to purchase it. If it is stolen, then only it works. ये भी एक
Yes,
belief
sir.
है,
yeah.
मतलब I really don't know कितना सच है.
This is also yeah
चुरा
yeah
के लाओगे तो उसकी मनी हमारे घर में आ जाएगी.
हाँ.
You need to steal it very carefully. बस.
If you caught, then again your money will go in a reverse direction. Where you stealing it, there the money will start going. So you need to be clever while you stealing the money plant. On the lighter note, so it is how this is.
सर हमेशा बड़े घर से चुराओ मनी प्लांट चुराना है तो.
हाँ बड़े घर से, टाटा के घर से जाओ.
मुंबई चले जाओ तुम,
तो कुछ तो मिलेगा.
वहाँ एक से एक सब rich people are there.
Yes. क्योंकि अगर चुराना ही था फिर तो सही जगह से चुराओ जहाँ पैसा हो ना, तभी तो मिलेगा. अगर सच्ची में कुछ अगर होने वाला है तो नहीं तो okay, 1 second. Okay, so what is a mutual fund in a nutshell? Mutual fund is a money pooled in by a large number of investors, right? Same is true with the hedge fund also. There the investor might not be that large compared to mutual fund. So in case of hedge fund, the number of investor would not be that huge. It would be less for sure, and but they all would be sophisticated investor who would be investing with a large sum of money which they have at their disposal, and that money would be invested further in the financial market or in different investment avenues available with hedge fund, right? Here this money is largely used and is invested in the financial market in the form of bonds, securities, bond, equity, right? So money market instrument also at time, depending upon the type of fund that you're investing into. Okay. It pools fund collected from many investors for the purpose of investing. This money is collected, invested in securities such as stock, bonds, money market instruments, similar assets. The money is managed in this pool account by professional managers. They invest the fund's capital and attempt to reproduce the capital gains and income for the fund's investors. A mutual fund's portfolio is structured and maintained to match the investment objectives stated in its offer document. So offer document is called prospectus, right? So the offer document is when you enroll to a mutual fund. So there is a detailed offer document which is given to the investor, and that actually contains all the details about.
So please arrange your mic. You are not audible.
Yeah.
सर आपकी
Go ahead,
आवाज
go ahead.
कम हो गई है.
अच्छा कम आ रही है बच्चों. Let me keep this mic a bit near to my mouth. Okay, is it fine? Better now? Is it better?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, fair enough. So these things we have already discussed. I don't think I need to explain them again. Just read it once. If you need more clarity on any of the statement or the information given on this slide, I hope we all are clear. It's a very same information that we have already covered in my discussion with you. Fine. So let's move on. Okay, so benefits. So always remember benefits of mutual fund, right? Because when this question I've seen very often in the interview just asks, tell me the benefits of mutual funds, right? And you already know the answer as well. But I've often seen people not able to answer with conviction to this simple question in the interview. They answer things, right? But it is not answered with detail and with all those things which need to be put into the answer. So that's my observation. With my experience, I have seen people not able to answer this simple question. It's a very simple one, but at times people just go round and round, talk about various things, but don't talk about the things which should be mentioned in the first place. So what are the benefit? Professional management, diversification, and more choice, right? Then you need to just touch upon what professional management is, what more choice is, what diversification actually mean. Clear? Is it? So always prepare this question in a best possible manner, because I'm sure this question will be asked whenever you go for an interview which has something to do with mutual fund, or even has nothing to do with mutual fund. At times even interviewer ask you, if you mention you have learned about mutual fund and securities and all those things, and they definitely will ask you, what is mutual fund, what is hedge fund, what are the benefits in mutual fund and hedge fund. So this will definitely, so you need to remember professional management, more choice, diversification, right? And then to elaborate these 3 points. Clear, everyone? What is more choice? Anyone? More choice?
Sir, large varieties of mutual funds are available. In the
Right.
you can select like the index mutual funds are there, debt mutual funds are there, so other types mutual funds where investing.
Right. Very rightly said. So there are large variety of different mutual funds, like index is there, debt is there, equity is there, dividend one
Balance
is
fund is
there,
also there.
balance fund is there, right? There are different variety of mutual fund is
Sir,
available.
sir, it
However,
also provides flexibility to
yeah,
invest
it
in
provides,
small amounts.
yeah, it provides a flexibility by investing in small amount, right? So if you want to invest in a share like Hindustan Lever, right? So Hindustan Lever has a market value of 2000 as a one share, right? So probably it does not suit to everyone. But if I want to go with a mutual fund where the Hindustan Lever is also in a portfolio, so you can avail, or you can probably put in 1,000 rupees on a regular basis, and you can also get some piece of some exposure to Hindustan Lever, right, as a company, or for that matter ICC Bank, or for that matter any other company you think of. You think the share is really expensive and you cannot afford to put that amount in one single company, so you can probably have an exposure, you can take an exposure to mutual fund, and that way you have a variety of securities in the one portfolio. So variety of security in a variety of form. It can be in the form of secure debt, it can be in the form of equity, it can be in the form of in the form of balanced portfolio, it can be in the form of the index portfolio, mutual fund you take position on. So these more choices are available, right? In case of diversification, you know what diversification means, right? Diversification lowers the risk of loss by spreading the money across various bonds and security, right? So the money that you have, you are spreading that money across different securities and assets, and by doing that you are able to mitigate your risk of losing money, because on a given day it is not possible that all of your security is not doing good. It is possible only when there is systemic risk. When the system is not doing good, probably all the securities are down. But on a normal day, when market is fine, there is no market risk, though no systemic risk, then your portfolio will definitely be doing good, because maybe the one security is not doing, the other securities would be compensating the risk attached to the other security, and that way diversification will help. Okay, so I hope I'm clear with these terms. What other benefits we have? Tax efficiency, right? And liquidity. Tax efficiency, liquidity, diversification, more choice, professional management. All these are important terms which you need to keep in your mind.
Easily accessible at lower cost.
Yes.
Benefits भी हो सकते हैं.
Yeah, this is benefit, you can say this is a benefit. So but these 5 benefits you need to always keep in your mind. This is a very simple one, easy to understand. How tax efficiency is there? When you say tax efficiency, so you might be aware there are mutual funds of a category called ELSS, right? And ELSS stands for equity linked saving scheme, right? So these mutual funds give you,
Please repeat ELSS.
yeah, so there are mutual fund called ELSS. Okay, so ELSS stands for equity linked saving scheme, and these are special mutual fund which are eligible for tax rebate under section 80C. So if you how much tax rebate you can avail under section 80C, it is 1,50,000 only, right? So if you put your 1,50,000 in your mutual funds which are of the category of ELSS, then you can avail that benefit of tax efficiency also.
सर
Right?
1 लाख एक साथ या फिर सर small amount?
No, 1,50,000 in a year. 1,50,000 in a year.
ओके, अगर 1,50,000 एक साल में के मतलब नीचे रहेगा तो टैक्स रिबेट मिलेगा उसमें हमें.
बिल्कुल, हाँ, आपको इनकम
ऊपर
टैक्स
चला
नहीं
जाएगा तो टैक्स हाँ तो टैक्स देना पड़ेगा.
हाँ, तो आपके इनकम टैक्स में वो पूरा का पूरा जो है आपकी वो सेविंग्स में जाएगी और उस पर कोई भी टैक्स नहीं लगेगा. इफ यू लाइक लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल, so if you are earning 10 lakh rupees a year, okay, just I'm giving a plain example. So up till 2,50,000 there is no tax, so it is free, no tax, right? And on 2 lakh after 2,50,000 you are supposed to pay tax on the rest of the income, that is 7,50,000, right? but you made an investment of 1,50,000 in ELSS mutual fund. So now the 1,50,000 investment that you made in the mutual fund is also tax free. So that means now you're just going to pay tax on 6 lakh rupees. Okay, just to give it a clarity how tax rebate will be given. So 1,50,000 will become completely tax free. There would be no tax applicable on 1,50,000. Then liquidity is there. You understand liquidity. I'm not going to touch upon this. Okay, before we talk about this slide, because it has got a lot of details into it, I will probably talk about this one, which is okay. Yeah, so these are the things which we need to first discuss. Then I'll talk about this one. Okay, before this one. So mutual funds, types of mutual fund, I will buy investment objective and the structure. Okay, by structure and by investment objective. So investment objective can be equity, balance, debt. By structure, it can be close-ended, open-ended, and exchange-traded fund. So what is close-ended? Any idea? Anyone understands close-ended mutual fund?
Once the mutual fund is like the window is closed, then you won't be able to either take out your money or even invest in that. Open-ended is you are free to withdraw and deposit money.
Right. Good one. So yeah, so open-ended, as the name suggests, it is you when the mutual fund opens, right? You have an opportunity to invest in the mutual fund, and once it closes, so your money will stay invested for that number of years with the mutual fund. It will have a certain number of years until when the mutual fund will run, and your invested money will remain in that close-ended mutual fund for that period of time. Okay.
For the locking period होगा ना सर इसका close ended में.
Yeah, so there is no lock-in, as in once the close date is over, so then your money will remain with the mutual fund for those number of years. So that is a lock-in period, you can say, or you can say a maturity of the entire mutual fund will happen after 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, which is already specified in the offer document. Offer document will have this thing already specified how long the mutual fund will run. So that is close end date. So there's an open date, and until as in for 15 days the NFO actually comes. So those 15 days you invest your money, and then it closes, and thereafter you're not having an opportunity to withdraw your money. You will remain invested there with mutual fund. What is the open-ended? Open-ended is a normal mutual fund where you put your money, you invest your money. Tomorrow you don't want to stay invested with the mutual fund. You can put a request to redeem your investment. So such kind of investments or such kind of mutual fund called open-ended. Exchange traded are one which are traded on exchange. The structure and the way the mutual fund is managed is same. It is traded on mutual fund. So the valuation is done on a real time basis. So the value of the trade is dependent on the underlying value of the securities, or it will be fetching the same value which the security has got in the normal market. So that is the exchange traded mutual fund are. But they are traded on exchange, so you have an opportunity to redeem them there on the exchange. So when I say redeem, basically it means you can sell your mutual fund and it can be bought by someone else. Your position, you are out from that position, somebody else is in that position. So as they are like share being traded, so you sell its share, another one buys it. Say in the same way the mutual fund is also as in the units are also sold for the exchange traded funds. Okay, fair enough. Any doubt? Okay, now just read through this definition so that you understand what we discuss here. A collective investment scheme where an investor can issue and redeem shares at any time A collective investment scheme where an investor can only enter the fund but not exit. In case they want to sell the investment, they will have to sell it to the investors within the fund, right? That is something that we discussed earlier also. If you want to exit, then you will have to find someone who can buy your position. If there is someone already in the fund who is interested in buying your position which you own, then it can be sold and you can exit from the scheme, else you will have to stay invested in the scheme. Can issue redeem units anytime during the life, cannot issue new unit except in case of bonus or rights issue, right? So in case of bonus and rights issue, because it is the securities which are offering this bonus and rights issue, which then the units can be, there could be new units issued. Otherwise there is nothing new, there is no units, no new units would be issued. The number of outstanding shares can vary from day to day. Here the number of shares are fixed. There are no change in the number of shares which are bought by the fund manager. Okay, clear? And this is something
So yes, sir.
okay, great. So
सर इतना
what's the
काफी
time?
आगे लिए सर.
Yeah, what's the time?
7
7?
हो जाएंगे सर, 5 मिनट.
Okay, so let me just take your attendance.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so okay, Atul is there. Atul, Vishal, Rahul is there, right? Atul and Vishal is not there. Nipun, Shubham, Ajit. Nipun is there, okay. Shubham is not there, right? Rishabh is there? Rishabh.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anjali is there. Tarun is there? Lavesh is there. Kuldeep is there. Chirag is not there, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Chirag is there. Okay.
Oh, I thought Siddharth was saying.
No, Siddharth, no. Chirag is not there, right? Okay, fine. Okay, Gaurav is there. Shatmanu is not there, right? Ayushi is there. Nairitya is there. Pranav is there. Mahendra is there. Siddharth is there. Purva is there. Okay, so Shivan is not there. Okay, so we are done with the attendance. Okay, so that's it for today, right? We'll cover the rest of the stuff tomorrow. Okay. Any other question before we close for today? All good?
सर कल पूछेंगे.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, no worries. Okay, guys. So take care. Stay
Thank you,
safe.
sir.
Stay
Thank
at your home. Okay, bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
विंडो वाली जगह पे और मैंने गेट खोल दिया उनको